My brother let his kid wreck my daughter's first car, he called it, teaching her a lesson. 8 minutes later, his 74,000 Mercedes was nothing but scrap metal. My own brother, Mark, took a rock and shattered my daughter's first car into 1,000 pieces. But what happened next? What my father did to make things right, it broke our family forever. It still rips at me, even now. The air that Christmas Eve, 3 years ago, was supposed to be thick with festive cheer at my parents' house in Stockton. Instead, it became heavy with something far more volatile, the kind of tension that shatters more than just glass. I'm David, 47, a software engineer from Sacramento, and this wound still feels raw. It's a mix of anger that's cooled to a bitter ache, and a profound sadness over a family bond irrevocably broken. We were heading to my parents' place, my 17-year-old daughter Chloe, trailing behind in her precious Honda Civic. I'd bought it for her just 3 months earlier for almost a $16,800, her first car, her Silver Belle, as she called it. She adored that car, washing it every weekend, polishing every inch. It wasn't fancy, wasn't expensive, but to her it was a treasure. I kept checking my rearview mirror, watching her drive so carefully, so confidently. A surge of pride swelled in my chest. My wife, Sarah, chatted happily about the gifts she'd bought for my parents. The car was filled with warmth, with the glow of impending celebration. I had no idea my joy was about to be obliterated. We pulled up to my parents' house around 4:45 p.m. I parked first, and Chloe smoothly positioned her Civic right behind me. She practically flew out of her car, a huge smile on her face, eager to greet her grandparents. My mom was at the door. She hugged Chloe tight, her voice thick with love. "My granddaughter! I missed you so much! How's school?" Chloe beamed, telling her about her great grades. My dad, Richard, a man of few words, but deep affection, came out, nodded at me, and gently patted Chloe's head. That's just how he was with her. Inside, the house was already buzzing. My Aunt Carol and Uncle Frank were there, chatting with other relatives. Mom was bustling in the kitchen, surrounded by the delicious aromas of roasted turkey and all the trimmings. And there he was, my younger brother, Mark, 2 years my junior, holding court in the living room with a glass of wine, talking to his wife, Lisa. Beside him, his 14-year-old son Alex, with that cocky, bleach blonde hair. Mark just gave me a curt nod, barely interrupting his conversation. He'd always been this way, always bragging, always comparing. His brand new 74,000 Mercedes, gleaming outside, was just another monument to his ego. But the moment I saw Chloe's modest Honda Civic parked right next to it, a cold dread settled in my stomach. I saw Mark's eyes flick over Chloe's car, a sneer playing on his lips, while Alex just stared with an unnerving, calculating interest. A premonition, a chill down my spine, told me something was wrong. Dinner started around 6:30. Mom had outdone herself. The smell of the feast mingled with the lively chatter and laughter. For a while, everything felt normal. I sat with Sarah, catching up with family I hadn't seen in ages. Chloe was at another table with her younger cousins, animatedly talking about school. But then I noticed Alex. He kept glancing over at Chloe's car, get up several times to wander out to the front porch, clearly captivated by it. His fascination felt off. Then, at exactly 7:20 p.m., a blood-curdling scream tore through the night. It was Chloe! My heart stopped. Just stopped. I exploded out of my seat, sprinting for the door, Sarah right behind me. The other guests, a wave of worried faces followed. What greeted us in the yard froze me to the bone. It was a nightmare. Chloe's beautiful Silver Belle was utterly destroyed. Windshield shattered, hood caved in, headlights smashed, the silver paint gouged and scratched beyond recognition. And there was Chloe, my sweet girl, sobbing, body shaking, utterly broken. "Dad!" My car, she choked out, tears streaming down her face, her voice fractured. I ran to her, pulling her into a tight embrace. She clung to me, trembling, her sobs racking her entire body. My blood was boiling raw, hot fury, but I forced myself to stay calm for her. "Who did this, honey? Tell me." Chloe looked up, her eyes red and swollen. She pointed a trembling finger at Mark and Alex, who stood a few meters away looking stunned. "They, Uncle Mark and Alex, they smashed my car. Right in front of me." Something snapped inside me. I let go of Chloe, a primal roar escaping my throat, and lunged at Mark. I grabbed his collar, pulling him inches from my face. "Dubwitch, why? Why would you do that, Mark?" "Are you insane?" He struggled, his eyes wide with a fleeting panic, but it quickly morphed into feigned outrage. "Let me go. What's wrong with you?" He snarled, pushing my hands away. Relatives swarmed in, pulling us apart, but the damage was done. The air crackled with raw fury. Then my father Richard stepped forward. His presence alone commanded silence. He stood between us, his gaze like steel, sweeping over everyone present. "What's going on here?" he demanded, his voice low but cutting. Mark, ever the manipulator, immediately played the victim. He pointed at Chloe. "You should ask her dad! She was being selfish with her family, insulting Alex and me." Hearing that lie, I wanted to smash my fist into his face, but Uncle Frank and a neighbor held my arms tight. I gritted my teeth.
"You're lying, Mark! My daughter would never insult anyone!"
Chloe, still clinging to Sarah, shook her head, her voice choked with conviction. "That's not what happened, Grandpa. I never insulted anyone. I just wouldn't let Alex borrow the car because he's only 14 and can't legally drive." Mark let out a mocking laugh. He turned to Dad, as if he were the aggrieved party. "See, Dad? This girl is completely spoiled. She even dared to talk back to adults." My mother, a small woman who rarely raised her voice, suddenly yelled, "Anungu!" The entire room fell silent, all eyes on her. Then Mom turned to Dad, her voice calm but firm. "Richard, check the camera. Let's see who's telling the truth." The color drained from Mark's face. He stammered. "Look in a Mom camera? Which camera? Didn't you say it was broken?" Mom looked at him, her eyes like chips of ice. "It was broken. But I had it fixed a week ago." Mark stammered again. Why didn't you tell me?" Mom crossed her arms, an eyebrow raised. "Why should I tell you, Mark? Do you want to control every aspect of my life, my privacy?" A ripple of suppressed laughter went through the guests. Even in that tense moment, Mom's dry wit was undeniable. Mark stood there like a statue, utterly speechless, his face a ghastly white. Dad didn't say another word. He just opened the security camera app on his phone and projected the video onto the living room TV. The silence was suffocating. I could hear my own heart pounding in my ears. The image was clear, illuminated by the porch light. Mark was standing in front of Chloe's car, his expression unreadable. Alex walked around it, touching every surface, even opening the door and sitting in the driver's seat, gripping the wheel with an excited, entitled grin. Then Chloe approached. Her voice, though polite, was firm. "Alex, please get out. I don't like people sitting in my car without permission." Alex didn't even look at her. He just turned, demanding, "Give me the keys. I want to drive it around the block." Chloe shook her head. "No way. You're only 14. You don't have a license. It's illegal." That's when Mark stepped in. He gave Chloe an annoyed look. "Chloe, come on, let Alex borrow it. He knows how to drive. He'll just drive around the neighborhood. Nothing dangerous." My brave daughter stood her ground. She looked directly into his eyes. "No, Uncle Mark. Alex is underage. I can't lend it to him." The answer is still no. Mark's face contorted. He took a step closer, his eyes ice cold, his voice dropping low and menacing. "I'm telling you one last time. Give Alex the keys. If you don't blame me for what happens." Chloe took a slight step back, but her resolve didn't waver. She raised her chin. "Are you threatening me?" "No means no. I won't change my mind." That was it. Mark lunged, but Chloe was faster, darting away from the car around the corner of the house. Mark roared in rage. "You dare to run? Fine." He looked around, his gaze falling on a large rock lying by the flower bed. He bent, picked it up, and approached the car with a terrifying purpose. He raised the rock high and brought it down. "Rocky!" The windshield exploded. "Alex, that kid just cheered." "Smash it! Dad, show her who's boss!" He grabbed another rock, joining his father in this horrifying act of vandalism. A sick smile of twisted pleasure on his face, they savaged her car, a father and son, while Chloe stood there just out of frame, screaming, "Stop! Please, stop!" The video ended. The silence that followed was deafening. Mark and Alex stood frozen, pale as ghosts. Lisa, Mark's wife, looked utterly panicked, unable to meet anyone's eyes. My daughter, Chloe, was sobbing in Sarah's arms, her body trembling, reliving every horrifying moment. Then Sarah broke the spell. Her voice was ice. She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling the police. Right now. This is criminal property destruction. It cannot be ignored." But my father, Richard, held up a hand. "Sarah, wait. Let me handle this first." Sarah looked at him, then at me, her eyes questioning. I gave her a slight nod. Furious as I was, I wanted to see what Dad would do. She reluctantly put her phone away, but added firmly, "I'll give it 25 minutes. If there's no satisfactory outcome, I'm calling them." Dad nodded. He turned to Mark, his voice measured, dangerously calm. "Mark, I'm only saying this once. You and Alex will apologize to Chloe right now. Then you will pay 20,000 in damages." Mark reeled, his eyes wide in outrage. 28 souls! Are you insane, Dad? That car would only cost about 4,000 to repair. My father didn't flinch. And what about the emotional damages? My granddaughter's psychological state. Is 4,000 enough for that? But Mark, ever so smug, refused to back down. He tried to appeal to sentiment. Family should forgive each other, Dad. Why quibble over such small details? My father simply stared at him, his gaze unwavering. Then he gave a slow, chilling nod. Fine. No one understood. Mark actually looked relieved, a triumphant smirk playing on his lips, as if he'd won. He was so wrong. My father turned and walked into the house. 3 minutes later, he re-emerged, a massive sledgehammer held in his hands, heavy as fate itself. His steps were slow, deliberate, his eyes fixed on Mark, devoid of all emotion. He came to a halt in the middle of the yard, then addressed the stunned relatives. "Hold Mark, his wife, and Alex for me. Do not let them run." Uncle Frank and a few other men, caught in the gravity of the moment, stepped forward gently but firmly restraining Mark, Lisa, and Alex. Mark started to panic, struggling. "Dad, what are you doing? Let me go! Everyone, let me go!" My father ignored him completely. He walked straight to Mark's gleaming 74,000 Mercedes, the one Mark had boasted about for months. He stood before it. He raised the sledgehammer high. "Thrice!" The sound ripped through the quiet Christmas night. The Mercedes hood buckled, a grotesque crater forming.
No! A white car!
"Stick, Dad! Oh, car!"
Lisa shrieked, her voice shrill. "Richard, stop! It's 74,000! What are you doing?"
Even Alex cried, "Grandpa, don't smash it anymore." But my father was a force of nature. He didn't stop. He continued to swing the hammer with incredible strength, each blow a precise, deliberate act of retribution. He smashed the car doors, the headlights, the windows, everything within reach. For 8 agonizing minutes, the sounds of metal tearing, glass shattering, and Mark's desperate screams blended into a nightmarish symphony. By the time he was done, the luxurious Mercedes was an unrecognizable heap of mangled scrap metal. The 74 cars and car in a pile of junk. Mark sagged in the arms holding him, devastated, nearly collapsing. He screamed his voice raw with fury and despair.
Okay.
You smash my. Cow. My father stepped closer, his voice terrifyingly calm, each word like a nail hammered into Mark's heart. "Family members should forgive each other," he said. "You said it yourself." Mark stood there trembling.
You think you're done after that? I'll call the cops. You destroyed my property.
My car cost 4 times more than hers. "You'll pay." My father didn't appear worried at all. He just smiled, a cold, mocking smile. "Oh, why are you being so selfish and calculating with your own father, Mark? You just said families should forgive each other. Why are you changing your tune so quickly?" Mark was speechless, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. My father continued, calmly, "Besides, I didn't destroy your car. Who's going to testify to that?" Mark's eyes widened in disbelief. He pointed wildly at the guests. "Everyone witnessed it. You smashed my car in front of all 18 people here." My father's gaze swept over the crowd, his eyes thoughtful. He asked, just as calmly, "Did anyone see me smash the car?" Uncle Frank was the first to speak, shaking his head with a perfectly feigned innocence. "Didn't see a thing, Richard. I was looking elsewhere." Aunt Carol nodded emphatically. "I agree. I only saw Mark smashing his own car. He must be experiencing a breakdown." One by one, the other guests chimed in. "Didn't see anything. Richard was standing perfectly still. He was smashing his own car. He's clearly unstable." Mark's face drained of all color at this collective betrayal. He turned to Lisa, desperate.
Honey, you saw it.
"Tell them." But Lisa, utterly defeated, just looked down, silent. My father moved closer to Mark, his voice low, each word like an axe blow. "Oh!" And my camera seems to have broken as well. What a coincidence. Mark stood motionless, his face as pale as paper. He knew he had lost everything. After the dust settled, my father turned to Chloe, his hand on her shoulder, his voice soft. "Chloe, I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better." Chloe, still tearful, shook her head. "It's not your fault, Grandpa. Thank you for standing up for me." My father smiled, a rare, gentle smile. "I'm buying you a new car, honey. R22,001, you can choose anything you want. We'll sell this old car for whatever we can get." Chloe's eyes widened, and she looked at me for confirmation. I nodded, tears stinging my own eyes. She hugged Grandpa tightly, her voice choked with emotion.
Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you so much.
Mark watched the scene unfold aghast.
He stammered, Dad, what about my car?
"You're buying her one but not compensating me." My father's eyes, devoid of any warmth, met Mark's. "Fix it yourself." The words were a brutal slap. Mark spluttered, his voice filled with indignation.
"Playing favorites, Dad.
Giving your granddaughter 22,000, but telling me to fix my own car." My father stepped right up to him, face to face. "Playing favorites. Chloe is my granddaughter. Giving her money is the appropriate thing to do. As for you, you're just an outsider who happens to share my DNA." The words hit Mark like a physical blow. He stumbled back, his face a kaleidoscope of rage and humiliation. My father continued, his voice a cold steel blade. "The moment you lied, the moment you refused to apologize or compensate, you stopped being my son, Mark. You ended our father-son relationship with your own hands." The silence was absolute. Mark trembled, his eyes red with hatred. He took a deep breath, trying to regain some composure. Fine,
If that's what you want, I'll sue you for property destruction. My car was worth 4 times hers.
you'll pay for everything, including emotional distress. My father let out a short, mocking laugh. Why, Mark? Being selfish and calculating with your own father? Families forgive, remember? Why would you want to sue me now? Mark gritted his teeth. This is different.
You destroyed my property. I have the right to be compensated.
My father nodded slowly, his voice calm as if discussing the weather. Yes, go ahead and sue. But remember, I still have that video of you and Alex smashing Chloe's car. Do you want me to share it on social media? Mark went ghost white. He stammered. You wouldn't dare. My dad immediately cut him off, his voice arctic. Oh, I dare? Imagine your customers seeing you threatening a 17-year-old and smashing her car simply because she refused to let your entitled son take it for a joyride. Your customers will be very impressed. Mark stood there as if he had been struck by lightning. His face was pale white. His hands trembled. He knew if that video went viral, his reputation would be ruined, his electronics store would lose customers, and the career he had built over the years would collapse. Lisa stepped closer, grabbing his arm, her voice a desperate whisper. Honey, let's go. Don't make this any bigger. Let's just go home. Mark looked at his wife, then at my father, and finally at the relatives standing around with cold, unforgiving eyes. He realized he'd failed. With a hateful sneer, he said, Fine, I'll never return to this house again. Consider that you don't have me as a son. We're done. My father looked at Mark, his expression devoid of emotion. He nodded slowly. Good, I've been waiting to hear that. Just don't come crawling back here crying and begging later. This door is permanently close to you. Mark gritted his teeth. He turned his venom on me, growling, Don't expect my forgiveness, David. You and your daughter will pay for what happened today. I met his stare, my own voice tight with suppressed rage. I don't need your forgiveness. And if you ever dare to touch my daughter again, I won't just call the police. Mark opened his mouth, but Lisa was already pulling him away. She urgently called to Alex.
Alex, follow me. We're leaving right now.
Alex hurried after them, head bowed, not daring to look at anyone. Mark's family summoned a taxi and vanished into the cold Christmas night, his smashed Mercedes left behind as a stark reminder of the horror. After they left, the party's atmosphere slowly, hesitantly, began to normalize. My mother walked over to Chloe, hugged her granddaughter, and whispered, My granddaughter is excellent. You did the right thing. Don't be sad anymore. Chloe nodded, hugging Grandma tightly. A few seconds later, my father signaled everyone to continue. Okay, it's over now. Everyone, continue eating and drinking. It's Christmas. Don't let unpleasant things spoil it. Despite the tension, people gradually returned to the party. Laughter and conversation resumed, though it was subdued, a fragile attempt at normalcy. I approached Dad, placed my hand on his shoulder. Thank you, Dad, I choked out. He looked at me, his eyes gentle, but tinged with a deep sadness. He sighed. I failed in raising Mark's son. He became that way because of my mistakes. But I couldn't let him harm my granddaughter. I just nodded. An indescribable emotion swelled in my chest. I understood the impossible decision he had made. Giving up your own child is never easy, no matter how badly they've strayed. 4 days after the Christmas party, my father drove a dark blue 2023 Honda Civic to my Sacramento home. Chloe was doing her homework when the doorbell rang. She dashed to open and froze when she saw Grandpa standing there with a set of car keys. He smiled. Here's your new car, honey. I promised, didn't I? Go take a look. Chloe screamed with joy, rushing outside to gaze at the brand new car, her eyes wide. She turned back and hugged Grandpa tightly, her voice choked with emotion.
Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you very much.
I'll take very good care of it. My father patted her head. I know you will. You are a good kid. I'm proud of you. Dad came inside, joining Sarah and me for tea. He explained that Mark had sent people to tow away the wrecked Mercedes the day before. He didn't say anything to your mother or me, Dad said, his voice heavy with wariness. Just sent people to get the car and then left. Your mother is depressed, but she realizes this was the right decision. I nodded. Do you regret it, Dad? I asked. He remained silent for a long time. Then he slowly shook his head. No, I don't regret protecting my granddaughter. My only regret is not raising Mark better when he was younger. If I had been stricter, he might not have turned out like this. I didn't know what to say, so I just put my hand on his shoulder in comfort. 3 years have passed since that fateful Christmas night. Mark has never returned to my parents' home. He kept his promise, or perhaps it was a threat. Alex doesn't visit his grandparents either. He's 16 now, but he's never shown up for any family events. A few months ago, my mother accidentally ran into Alex at the supermarket. She approached him to say hello, But the kid just looked at her with cold eyes and said contemptuously, "You're not my grandmother. Don't claim to be." Mom stood there as if someone had slapped her across the face. Alex turned his back and walked away. Mom watched him go, her eyes red, but she didn't shed a single tear. When she told me about it, her voice was calm, but I could feel the deep pain in her heart. She sighed. "I don't blame him. He's still a child raised that way by his parents. What does he know? I feel bad for him." I didn't know how to comfort her. All I could say was, "Don't be sad, Mom. You still have Chloe and me." She nodded and smiled at me, but I knew she was hiding a pain that might never heal. Looking back, I've learned 5 critical lessons from all this. First, boundaries. Teach your kids to say no and respect it when they do. Don't let family pressure or any pressure force them into uncomfortable situations. Second, spoiling is a poison. Kids need to learn that no is a part of life and they can't always get what they want. Third, family isn't a get out of jail free card for bad behavior. True family love. It's built on mutual respect, not the right to hurt each other without repercussions. Fourth, actions speak volumes. Sometimes, protecting the people you love means making the hardest choices, even if it breaks your own heart. And finally, every action has consequences. They don't just vanish. They follow you, they shape you, and sometimes they shatter your world. My family's situation is relatively peaceful now. Chloe is 19 and preparing for college. She still drives the Honda Civic Grandpa gave her, and every time she mentions it, it's with deep gratitude. My parents are still in Stockton, still healthy, though I can see the sadness in their eyes when someone accidentally mentions Mark. Mark is still in Modesto, running his electronics store. We no longer communicate, and I don't expect we ever will again. Even now, people still argue about that night. Some say Chloe was selfish for not lending her car. Some say my father, Richard, played favorites. But for me, it was about protecting my daughter, no matter the cost. What do you think? Was my father right to do what he did? Or did he go too far? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one.